Right now, you're breathing. You don't have to think about it. The air just fills your lungs and empties them and fills them again. Under your feet, the ground stays where it is. The sun rose this morning. It'll rise again tomorrow. And somewhere in your body, in a corner of your mind, there's a quiet assumption you've never questioned, that this planet was made for you. It wasn't. Almost none of what you're standing on should be here. And the story of how it got here is not a story about paradise. It's a story about everything that almost went wrong. Start with the obvious. Earth sits at the right distance from the sun. Not too close, where the water would boil. Not too far, where it would freeze. Scientists call it the Goldilocks zone. And our sun happens to be a G-class star, a steady middle-aged kind of star that will burn for about 10 billion years without throwing tantrums. That already sounds like a lot of luck. But that's just the entry ticket. Being in the right neighborhood, orbiting the right kind of star, that only gets you to the starting line. It doesn't make you alive. Mars is in roughly the same neighborhood. Mars is dead. Venus is closer to the same neighborhood. Venus is a 460-degree furnace where lead melts on the surface. Same solar system, same starting materials, same rough distance from the sun. 3 planets. One of them is you. So the question isn't the how did we get lucky with the address. The question is what happened after. Deep under your feet, about 3,000 kilometers down, there's an ocean of liquid iron. It's the size of Mars, and it never stops moving. That churning metal generates something you'll never see and never feel, but you're wrapped inside it right now. A magnetic field that reaches thousands of kilometers into space around you. Its only job is to stop the sun from killing you. The sun doesn't just send light, it sends a constant stream of charged particles, a solar wind, moving at millions of kilometers an hour. If that stream hit your atmosphere directly, it would strip it away, molecule by molecule. No air, no water, no you. Mars used to have this same shield. Its core was smaller and it cooled faster. Around 4 billion years ago, the metal inside Mars stopped moving. The field died. And over the next few 100 million years, the sun did exactly what it would do to Earth. It blew Mars's atmosphere into space. The evidence is still there. Ancient river valleys, dried up ocean beds. Mars had water. Mars had weather. Mars might have had life. And then the invisible thing that was protecting it turned off. The reason your air isn't currently being blown into space isn't gravity, and it isn't luck. It's the fact that 3,000 kilometers below you, an ocean of liquid metal you'll never see is still moving. But that explanation creates another problem, because even a magnetic field can't fix what happens if the planet itself starts to wobble. About 4.5 billion years ago, when Earth was still forming, something the size of Mars slammed into it, head on. Astronomers call it Theia. The collision was so violent it partially liquefied the young Earth. A huge chunk of the outer layers was blown into orbit. And over time, that debris gathered itself into a ball and locked into a slow, silent circle around us. That's the moon. You've grown up looking at it. It's beautiful. It's romantic. It's on every calendar. It's also the reason you exist. In 1993, a French astronomer named Jacques Lascar published a study in the journal Nature. He wanted to know what would happen to Earth's spin if the moon hadn't formed. He ran the math. The answer was ugly. Without the moon, Earth's tilt, the angle we lean toward the sun, which gives us seasons, which decides where the ice sits and where the crops grow, that tilt would wander, not by a few degrees, by 85. The planet would flop. For millions of years, the poles could point almost directly at the sun. Then, later, they might swing until the tropics froze. There'd be no stable seasons, no place safe enough for life to plan around, generation after generation, for hundreds of millions of years. With the moon, Earth's tilt varies by only about 2 degrees, between 22.1 and 24.5. That's it. That's the entire range. The reason spring comes back on schedule, the reason winter always ends, the reason the world you know exists at all, is that a planet the size of Mars committed suicide into ours, and the wreckage stayed in the sky. Here's the weird part. Every step you just heard, the field, the impact, the moon, is usually told like a lucky break, a gift, something the universe handed to Earth to make it hospitable. But if you actually look at the timeline of life on this planet, you realize something disturbing. About 2.4 billion years ago, something started growing in Earth's oceans. Cyanobacteria. Tiny, simple things. They fed on sunlight and released a byproduct into the water. That byproduct started to bubble up into the atmosphere. The byproduct was oxygen. At the time, oxygen was the most dangerous substance on the planet. Every organism that existed had evolved without it. To them, oxygen was a corrosive poison. It broke their cells apart from the inside. And as it built up in the air and water over hundreds of millions of years, it did what any mass poisoning does. It killed almost everything. Scientists call it the Great Oxygenation Event. It's considered one of the largest extinction events in the history of the planet. Life didn't slowly ease into breathing oxygen. 99% of life at the time died in a slow atmospheric suffocation, and a small strange minority survived by learning to eat the poison. You are the descendant of that minority. The single most essential substance in your body, the thing without which your brain dies in 4 minutes, was, once, the weapon that killed the world. There's one more piece to this, and it's the piece that changes everything. You've probably heard that Jupiter protects Earth, that its enormous gravity acts like a shield, sweeping up asteroids and comets before they can reach us. It's in every documentary. Jupiter, the Big Brother. Jupiter, the Guardian. In 2008, 2 astronomers, Jonathan Horner and Barry Jones, at the Open University in the UK, decided to actually test that story. They ran simulations of the solar system, with a Jupiter, with a smaller Jupiter, and with no Jupiter at all. They wanted to see how many asteroids reached Earth in each version. What they found was that Jupiter isn't a clean shield. In some cases, it deflects rocks. In others, it flings them straight at us. Another scientist, Kevin Grazier, put it more bluntly. He said Jupiter is a sniper, not a shield, which means the story you've been told, that everything about our solar system is arranged to keep Earth safe, isn't quite true. And that's when the real reveal shows up. In the year 2000, 2 researchers at the University of Washington, Peter Ward and Donald Brownlee, wrote a book called Rare Earth. Their argument was that all the conditions that made Earth livable, the star, the moon, the tilt, the field, the neighbors, are so unlikely to line up anywhere else that complex life might be almost unique to us. But there's something in their thesis that gets missed. Earth isn't perfect for life. Life is fine-tuned to Earth. Every step you just heard, the impact that made the moon, the field that blocked the sun, the poisoning that changed the air, those weren't gifts. They were filters. They eliminated everything that couldn't survive them. What we call life is just the tiny fraction of biology that got through. You aren't here because the universe made a place for you. You're here because you're descended from the microscopic minority of things that didn't die. So, the question you started with, how did Earth get so perfect for life, is the wrong question. Perfect is a human word. It assumes there's a target, a design, a plan someone was trying to hit. There isn't. There's just what remained after 4.5 billion years of collisions, poisonings, freezings, and extinctions erased everything else. The universe didn't sculpt a paradise. It ran a filter. And you are what came through. Go back to the beginning, to the you that was standing outside, breathing an atmosphere you never think about, on ground that stays where it is, under a sun that rises on schedule. That quiet feeling that the planet was built for you. It wasn't. You're standing in the aftermath of a collision that partially destroyed your own planet, breathing gas that killed almost everything that came before you, held in place by a spinning core of liquid metal 3,000 kilometers below your feet, shielded by a moon made of debris, balanced inside a solar system where the giants might just as easily hurl a comet at your head as deflect one. Earth isn't perfect for life. Earth is what remained when life survived everything else.